Pearlman, does that ring any bells? What about if I say Backstreet Boys, NSYNC? Does that ring any bells? Well, Lou Pearlman is the man behind them, and a lot of other bands too. When they should have been making millions of dollars, it was Lou who was making millions of dollars, and they were making nothing. And it wasn't just the boy bands he scammed. He scammed over 2,000 people, some of them putting their entire life savings into investments, which he made up. They didn't even exist. And he would show them the boy bands and be like, yeah, I manage them, so I'm very successful. And they trusted him, and he took people's money. And I'm not even done yet. I haven't mentioned these sexual assault claims on young men and women. Yes, there's those too. So here's Lou Pearlman. Let me tell you his story. So here's a quick condensed version of how Lou got into the entertainment business. Well, Lou was always a blimp guy. Yes, I said blimp guy. Well, being a blimp guy, it got him into doing flight stuff, which got him into doing private chartered flights, for the celebrities, the elite, the people who want to take a private plane from point A to point B. Well, one day he charters a private flight for New Kids on the Block, and he's like, whoa, how did these kids have money for that? He didn't know who they were. Well, he's told, that's New Kids on the Block. They made $200 million in record sales. They made $800 million in merch and touring. And Lou's like, oh, I'm in the wrong business. So hearing this is literally enough for him to uproot his whole life, stop his business, move to Orlando, and try to start a boy group. The Backstreet Boys. So Lou Pearlman moves to Orlando in the pursuit of starting a boy band. He puts an ad out in the Orlando Sentinel calling for teenage boys in his new act. AJ McLean is one of the first people to come. Oh, and by the way, they were auditioning in his home. So we got AJ, Nick, and Howie from the auditions. He finds Kevin at Disney World playing the role of Aladdin, a person of color. That's very 90s to have a white person doing that. Okay, so then Kevin tells him, I've got this cousin named Brian in Kentucky. I think he would be a great fifth member. So that's how Brian gets in. Lou is a groomer. He wants to be like a father figure, which is not a good thing for a business relationship. He's going to provide for them. You quit your job, I'll put you up in a house, I'll take care of you. You don't have anything to worry about. I'll take care of everything. Just sign this contract. I'm going to make you a star. Lou Pearlman, he's formed the Backstreet Boys, and they're a huge success. #1 songs, selling out arenas. But the Backstreet Boys, they can't even pay their rent, right? They're waiting for the big break, the money that's going to come their way, but they have to pay off everything Lou's spent on them. They don't exactly know how much that is, but they trust Lou. Well, while all that's going on, he goes and starts NSYNC without telling them, and NSYNC pretty much has the same origin story as Backstreet. So that BSB NSYNC rivalry, that was intentional money-making Lou Pearlman scheme. Same story with NSYNC. Can't pay their bills, but they know the big check is coming once they can just pay off whatever Lou's spent on them. Ooh, wow, it's so great being a celebrity. Dang, I only get $35 a day per diem. Yeah, that's what they got. This is how NSYNC realized that Lou Pearlman was scamming them. So they always knew, I'm working hard, and once we can pay off that amount that Lou invested into us, then we're going to start making money. Up until this point, they only got $35 a day each for food, and that was it. But they worked hard because they knew it was going to pay off. Well, to celebrate their debut album selling 10 million copies, Lou invites them out to dinner in LA at a fancy restaurant. This is the moment they've been working for. They've spent 3 years. Their family is there, they're dressed to their best. Okay, Lou hands an envelope to each of them. So they open up their envelopes to see their millions. They each got $10,000. That's actually less than minimum wage if you do the amount of time they spent up to that point. Utterly heartbroken, they realize they need to get a lawyer. Lou's not looking out for them at all. Backstreet Boys left Lou Pearlman in '98. NSYNC left him in '99. They were done being scammed. JC says they were conditioned to believe this was normal. They'd get their food money believing the big check was just around the corner. Lou fought both of them when they tried to leave too. Backstreet got an awful deal. The entire time they were with him, all those years, all those hits, $300,000 was made collectively among the members. In order to get out of their contract with him, they had to agree to pay him $30 million from their profits, and he still had to continue to get a portion of their profits after they left Lou. On both of their contracts, Lou had written in that he was the 6th member, so this gave him a lot of power. With NSYNC, the judge was flabbergasted at their contract. Not only did Lou say he was the 6th member, he said he owned 90% of their profits because he owned the name NSYNC. But NSYNC did win. Pearlman stole a lot from all these boy groups and one girl group, but he also has a litany of sexual allegations against him. And they are allegations, let me note that. Nick Carter's mom said he was especially inappropriate with the younger boys. She said he would expose himself and watch porn with them. Nikki from his girl group Innocence, which Britney Spears was in for just a little bit, said she was naked in the sunbed and he secretly recorded her only to show that footage to the boy groups and call it male bonding. Ashley from O-Town said one time in his hotel room he said, "Let me massage you. I minored in that in college," and it started to get very uncomfortable and he was so happy the phone rang and he ran out of there. Lance from NSYNC said he was very touchy-feely, always trying to massage, and he's like, "I know what you're doing." I can't believe I'm saying this, but yes, there's more. Lou Pearlman was in charge of a huge Ponzi scheme. He made up a whole fake airline. It did not exist. And he got over 2,000 people to invest in it, taking some people's entire life savings. He got over $300 million from this. Well, how did he get their money? Well, he was a sleazy salesman. That's what he was. He'd take them over to meet Backstreet or NSYNC or whoever was in the recording studio, and they'd be starstruck. He'd take them to a fancy meal. He'd take them in a limousine, and they trusted him because he seemed legit. There was no business that they were investing in, but they trusted him and they didn't double check. Lance from NSYNC was quoted as saying he thought it was very strange that they were flying Delta Coach when Lou Pearlman supposedly owned an entire airline. Lou did get sent to jail, but he died in 2016 of a heart attack.
Knowing the work and the effort that we were putting in to the show after show after show, and this guy is sitting in his office and he's getting checks, I was like, something's wrong. So I went to the guys. You know, it caused some controversy. It was a kind of a love-hate type thing, like, what are you doing? You're going to break up the band. We can't do this right now. We're on top of the world. And we teamed up. So
yeah, we all knew things weren't right. I mean, obviously, you know, our bank accounts are nothing, and our managers and especially him, his bank account's growing. But
could you tell at the time that you weren't getting what you deserved?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
But the problem that we faced
living...
were, okay, are we going to stop the momentum? Because we were just starting to break in the United States. Are we going to stop the momentum? Our dreams are coming true. To possibly be held up in a law court, because he was threatening filing a cease and desist because he had ownership of the name.
Envelope. I see the check, and oh my gosh, like my heart sunk. I couldn't believe the number I was looking at.
There was this person that I had all this complete trust in. Suddenly, the carpet just got ripped out from underneath us.
You sell almost 10 million albums. I could have made this much working full-time at Starbucks.
Something isn't adding up. Lou's getting paid, promoters are getting paid.
The deeper they dug, the worse it got.
Never in a million years thought a person that I entrusted my life with could do something like this.
It went from Jolly Lou to like, I don't give a fuck about you right now.
Then to find out how many other people this thing that he did affected.
One of the FBI agents I did a lot of work with, he looked like he had a bank fraud case involving Lou Pearlman.
Webs upon webs of robbery.
Every parent is protective of their child, and I was so angry.
It was all truly criminal.
Hi, I hope you're having a good day. So I'm using your comment to tack on some information I forgot to mention in my deep dive about Backstreet and NSYNC. I liked your comment, so I thought, I'll just use, oh, hi Ramona. I'll just use your comment to add that information in. So Chris from NSYNC, when they were in London, came up with the name No Strings Attached for their second album. This is right after they got their settlement all figured out with Lou, and it was a reference to Pinocchio when he gets the strings, removed and he's free, and they were free from Lou. Furthermore, Bye 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 sounds like it's about a girl, but no, it's about Bye 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 Lou. And then that made me think, well, Black and Blue came out around that time. Was that also about Lou? I couldn't find anything online though, but it's a thought. And lastly, to the people who have left racist comments, I'm so disappointed in your behavior.